your firm's future. So to sum up, our energy future is not fate but choice. That choice is very flexible. In '75, our government said that energy used to make $1 of GDP could never go down. I heretically suggested it could drop threefold over 50 years. So far it's down 54% over the first 39 years. But now we have much better technologies, integrated design, enlightened regulation, maturing financing, marketing, and delivery channels that can save another threefold or twice what I originally thought. You see, we're doing pretty well so far. But now we can save twice that much at only a third the real cost. And that's just the innovation that's already happened, not the innovation that's going to happen. So to solve the energy problem, we just needed to enlarge it and integrate it. And the results may at first seem incredible, but as Marshall McLuhan said, only puny secrets need protection. Big discoveries are protected by public incredulity. So let me end by summarizing what we just found doing the same exercise for China. And that's a collaboration of 4 organizations, 2 NGOs, 2 government labs, using Chinese data models, examples, analysts. It's their program. It's not what somebody's telling them what to do. So we've had about 40 people on this the last 2 years, reporting to the energy authors for the 13th five-year plan. And our preliminary findings, to be released in 3 weeks, show how China could have a 7-fold bigger GDP in 2050, which is their official goal, using about the same energy as today, getting about 3/5 of it from non-fossil sources, all trillions of dollars cheaper than business as usual if externalities are valued at 0. CO2 emissions would fall to about 2/5 below the 2010 levels, coal use by 4/5, conventional air pollution without any control technologies added by 90 or 95%. Energy productivity could rise over 6-fold, carbon productivity 12-fold, and President Xi's peak carbon commitment could be achieved even sooner. In fact, as many of you know, China's coal burn already fell last year in absolute terms, even as GDP grew 7.4%. That leadership in stabilizing global climate perfectly fits China's need for non-polluting, high-value added drivers of growth. So the U.S. Reinventing Fire analysis provides a low-carbon, high-prosperity roadmap for the developed world. Reinventing Fire China provides such a model for the developing world. And the world can solve the climate problem at a profit, not at a cost, with the tools, leadership, and collaboration of these 2 countries. For our side, the U.S. is already on track for the Reinventing Fire trajectory, and the Chinese side, I think, is well ahead of anybody's expectations, possibly including their own. I hope that will stimulate some useful conversation. I thank you for your good work and your kind attention.
Dr. Lovins, for this inspiring presentation. And we have 5 minutes for questions. So you can go to the microphone, introduce yourself. Please keep the questions brief.
And please be sure to return the carbon cap.
And you can also ask questions on Twitter, if you wish. So are there any questions?
I'm sure I said nothing controversial.
Amory, my name's Melinda Marquis, and I remember going to your house in 1983 and seeing the tropical plants, and no home should ever have a dryer or anything. It was an amazing house. It looks like you've done some work on it.
Come back, we've done a major renovation.
It was really cool. I was a kid then, and I remember seeing you at the University of Colorado, I think in the UMC in 1986. And I was just flabbergasted by the charts that you put up with the numbers proving that the United States would save a lot of money in coming decades if people were just given cheap cars that were very fuel efficient. And the amount of money that the United States would save basically from their defense budget fighting wars in the Middle East And I think that was 29 years ago. I don't know if you remember it, but I do.
Well, I remember a lot of the theme because I'm advising the Chief of Naval Operations and teaching at the Naval Postgraduate School.
You made a big impression on me then, and I'm surprised that today you seem to exude a great deal of optimism. That if I'm interpreting you correctly, you seem to be very pleased with the rate of change of adopting fuel efficiency and I presume also, therefore, cutting greenhouse gas emissions. I'm really worried about the greenhouse gas emissions and the fact that they continue to go up, not down, largely because the rest of the world is developing their economy. So can you say a bit more? I mean, are you truly pleased with the rate of change? Because that's what it sounds like you're saying. And from my perspective, it looks like we've got a serious problem here.
We're both right. Of course, we would have been much better off starting to do this a lot earlier and faster, but I think the current rates of change are very encouraging, which is why China's Kohlberg went down last year and that has since accelerated, and why carbon emissions stabilized last year. I think we will see a lot more of that. So it is urgent to do more and better the things I'm describing. The mental models that we use to think about this are quite important. I was once teaching a college class in which a young lady was despairing all the things going wrong and all the suffering in the universe and saying she couldn't imagine bringing a child into such a world, and how she had lost all hope. But it quickly became clear in conversation she hadn't lost hope at all. She knew exactly where she'd left it. And if people despair of the future, I think I have to ask, does feeling that way make you more effective? If you go to rmi.org and in the search window enter Berkeley, you'll get my little Berkeley commencement speech about how I don't live in a world of optimism or pessimism, just as I don't think the glass is half empty or half full. From an engineering perspective, it's just twice as big as it needs to be. Optimism and pessimism, Dave Brower taught, are different sides of the same simplistic or reversion to fatalism, in which we treat the future as fate, not choice, and don't take responsibility for creating the world we want. So my colleagues and I live in a spirit I call applied hope, in which our choices day to day create a world worth being hopeful about. Raymond Williams said, to be truly radical is to make hope possible, not despair convincing. St. Francis, and I hope, by the way, all of you have read the Pope's remarkable encyclical, which is about a great deal more than climate. St. Francis allegedly said, preach the gospel at all times, if necessary, use words. And according to the internet, one Michael C. Muhammad said or wrote, everything is going to turn out all right in the end. If it's not all right now, it's not the end yet. Don't let it bother you, just relax and keep on going. So I hope in that spirit of applied hope, you will continue and intensify your efforts to bring about faster what I'm describing, which also solves many of the other big problems in the world. And notice that it's highly trans-ideological. That is, whether you care most about economic or environmental or security or social outcomes, if you like any one or more of the multiple benefits, that's enough. You don't need to like every outcome. You don't need to agree which outcomes are most important. But if we focus on outcomes, not motives, we can turn gridlock and conflict into a common set of activities for whatever reason. And we see that working very well in much of the country. It cuts through all the political nonsense.
Okay, so thank you very much again, Dr. Lovins, for the very interesting presentation and inspiring. And I'd like to present to you this little gift for
Thank
your
you.
presence. And thank you very much again.
Thank you.